Greetings, friends. I am Vitaly Portnikov. Vice President Joseph Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced an agreement under which military actions in Lebanon will cease for the next 60 days. This agreement will come into effect exactly tomorrow at 10 a.m. Its content is essentially meant to regulate the elimination of the terrorist organization Hezbollah's role as an alternative army of Lebanon. The agreement states that Hezbollah and all other armed organizations present in Lebanese territory will refrain from any offensive actions against the Jewish state. In return, Israel will not conduct any offensive military actions against targets in Lebanon. These commitments, however, do not exclude the right of Israel and Lebanon to self-defense. This point, of course, can lead to numerous interpretations even during the ceasefire, not to mention the subsequent 60 days. The Lebanese army and the security forces of this country will be the only organizations officially authorized to transport weapons or deploy troops in southern Lebanon. The sale, supply, or production of weapons and related equipment in Lebanon will be controlled by the Lebanese government. All unauthorized facilities related to the production of weapons and related equipment will be dismantled. All infrastructure and military positions implied by these commitments will also be dismantled, and all unauthorized weapons will be confiscated. Israel and Lebanon will create a special structure to monitor and assist in the implementation of the commitments to this ceasefire agreement and will report any violations of these commitments to the Committee and United Nations peacekeepers. Lebanon will deploy official security forces and its army along all border crossing points and the line that will be defined for the southern zone. Lebanon, as will be indicated in the relevant plan, while Israel will gradually withdraw from the southern part of the so-called Blue Line over the next 60 days. At the same time, the United States will facilitate negotiations between Israel and Lebanon to achieve an internationally recognized land border scheme between the two states. Everything seems relatively smooth. However, the ceasefire agreement is already being criticized by Benjamin Netanyahu's allies from the far-right parties of the Jewish state and the opposition. Many believe that it is practically impossible to make Hezbollah comply with this agreement, as the Iran-sponsored terrorist organization will use the 60 days to, so to speak, regroup after the destruction of almost all its political and military leadership led by the odious Hassan Nasrallah and many of the organization's militants, and that Iran has given its approval for this agreement, specifically counting on the rearmament of the organizations. The Lebanese army can undoubtedly take Hezbollah's positions in southern Lebanon now, but the question is for how long. The Lebanese government will be able to control the disarmament of the terrorist organization, but it is important to remember that Hezbollah itself plays a leading role in Lebanon's political life, and the Speaker of Parliament, Nabi Berri, the leader of the Shiite Amal party, is one of Hezbollah's most loyal allies in Lebanese politics, and there is a big question of how Lebanese politicians will use the situation with the truce. Will they be able to make their own efforts to marginalize the terrorist organization? Or will each of them feel the shadow of Iran, with its readiness to likely destroy anyone who stands in the way of the Itu regime? It is abundantly clear that this agreement undoubtedly carries risks related to the fact that the Northern Front could at any moment take on the shape of a new military confrontation. That is why the Israeli government did not recommend that residents living in northern communities of Israel who were evacuated due to security issues and constant shelling of the Bal area return to their homes. That is, even Benjamin Netanyahu himself is not confident that this agreement will actually be implemented and that a new war between Israel and Hezbollah will not resume in 60 days. But the leadership of the Israeli government and army may have been guided by the fact that Israel simply lacks the resources for a constant two-front war as the war in the Gaza Strip continues, and the terrorist organization Hamas, although weakened, is not planning to abandon the continuation of this war and the release of hostages taken by this organization on October 7, 2023. By the way, now that a ceasefire has been reached with Hezbollah, many opponents of Benjamin Netanyahu are wondering why the ceasefire was established specifically in northern Israel, in southern Lebanon, where Hezbollah does not hold Israeli citizens hostage. However, the ceasefire with the terrorist organization Hamas, necessary to free those Israeli citizens who are still alive, has not yet been achieved. Perhaps by concluding this agreement, Israel was negotiating. Not only with Hezbollah and the Lebanese government, but also with the administration of Joseph Biden, thus seeking to ease pressure in terms of its future capabilities in the Gaza Strip. After all, no one knows how the situation in the Middle East will change after Donald Trump's inauguration. What will the role of the United States look like in the confrontation with Iran? Will a major regional war begin in 2025, in which the United States could be directly involved, while Iran, having acquired nuclear weapons, will be ready for a confrontation of a scale we cannot even imagine right now? Against this backdrop, Benjamin Netanyahu may want to at least eliminate the terrorist group Hamas, so that after Donald Trump's inauguration, he can begin to develop a plan for pacifying the Gaza Strip, the majority of whose population continues to support this terrorist organization and is full of hopes for its revenge and diversions against Israel. It has become obvious that in the current situation in the Middle East, a two-front war is challenging, especially under conditions where there is no unity within Israeli society. This is a difficult test, especially since the conflict has been ongoing for almost 500 days, and there is no real political solution to this conflict, aside from a temporary ceasefire. But it is quite possible that the end of the war in Lebanon, even if only for 60 days, will be some kind of pilot project that creates hope that the war in the Middle East can indeed be at least paused, if not completely stopped. Or, on the contrary, it will remind us that no ceasefire agreements are effective in today's situation and lead to new, much more devastating and dangerous conflicts. Thank you, friends. Stay on this channel, subscribe to it, and follow me on my social media on Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, and Donatello, which help develop these resources for the sponsorship function on YouTube itself to you.